Imagine losing everything in a single moment: your home, your name, your family, your future. You are reduced to a number, stripped of dignity, surrounded by death. And yet, some people in this hell survived not because they were stronger, but because they found a reason to live. This book is not about suffering, it is about why some humans survive suffering. Man's search for meaning reveals a truth that most people never confront. You can survive almost anyhow if you have a strong enough why. Viktor Frankl discovered this truth inside Nazi concentration camps, where everything was taken from him except one thing: his freedom to choose his attitude. Meaning, not pleasure or power, is the deepest human drive. Chapter 1. Admission to the camp. The first shock does not come from hunger or violence. It comes from realizing that death is no longer shocking. When Frankl arrived at the concentration camp, hope died quickly. Prisoners were immediately separated, some sent to labor, others to the gas chambers. No explanations, no mercy. Randomness ruled everything. This is where Frankl observed something disturbing. Most prisoners stopped reacting emotionally. The mind shut down as a defense. Fear, empathy, even grief faded. This emotional numbness was not weakness, it was survival. People who survived the first days were not the bravest or the strongest. They were the ones who adapted mentally. They accepted reality without illusion and conserved emotional energy. Frankl realized that suffering becomes unbearable only when it feels meaningless. Those who believed their pain served no purpose collapsed quickly. Those who sensed a future tasked someone to reunite with, work to complete, meaning yet to fulfill held on. If emotional numbness was the first survival mechanism, then daily life inside the camp reveals a darker question. What happens when suffering becomes routine? Chapter 2. Life in the camp. When suffering lasts long enough, it stops being shocking. It becomes normal, and that is when the real danger begins. Life in the camp was not defined by dramatic cruelty, but by endless, grinding misery. Hunger never left. Cold became permanent. Beatings were random. Death was casual. Yet Frankl noticed something more terrifying than physical pain: the slow death of the inner life. Prisoners began to live only for the next piece of bread, the next moment of rest. Conversations revolved around food and survival tricks. The future disappeared. When a man could no longer imagine tomorrow, he mentally died long before his body did. But here is the paradox Frankl uncovered. Even in this hell, some men remained human. They shared bread, they comforted others, they joked. They remembered poetry, they imagined loved ones waiting for them. Frankl himself survived by holding on to meaning. He imagined rewriting his lost manuscript. He spoke to his wife in his mind. He treated suffering as a test, a challenge life was asking him to answer. He concluded something radical: everything can be taken from a man, except one thing: the freedom to choose his attitude. Those who chose meaning endured longer. Those who gave up inner purpose collapsed suddenly. If meaning can keep a man alive in hell, then what happens when that hell finally ends? Chapter 3. After liberation, freedom arrived, but joy did not. When the camps were liberated, prisoners expected happiness to explode instantly. Instead, many felt nothing. The mind could not process freedom after so much suffering. Years of emotional numbness did not disappear overnight. Frankl called this depersonalization. Former prisoners walked through open fields, touched flowers, and stared at the sky, yet felt unreal, like spectators of their own lives. Freedom felt foreign. Then came a second shock: bitterness. Survivors discovered that the world had continued without them. Loved ones were gone, homes destroyed. People who had lived safely offered shallow sympathy. The injustice of survival cut deeply. Some survivors became cruel themselves. After being powerless for so long, they finally held freedom and wanted revenge or dominance. Frankl warned that suffering does not automatically make people better. It only gives them the chance to choose who they become. The final danger was emptiness. Without guards, schedules, or survival pressure, many did not know how to live. The camps had taken away not only dignity, but direction. Frankl realized that survival was only the first step. The real challenge was learning how to live again. If suffering ends but emptiness remains, then the real question becomes, what gives life meaning at all? Chapter 4. The meaning of life. Life does not promise happiness. It asks something far more difficult. Frankl challenges a belief most people never question, that life's purpose is to seek pleasure or avoid pain. From his experience, this idea collapses under suffering. According to Frankl, life does not give meaning automatically. Meaning is discovered through responsibility. Life is constantly asking you questions, and your actions are the answers. He identified 3 primary sources of meaning. 1. Creative work, what you give to the world through effort, contribution, or service. 2. Experiential value, what you take from the world through love, beauty, and connection. 3. Attitudinal value, the meaning you create when facing unavoidable suffering. This third form is the most powerful. When suffering cannot be removed, it can still be transformed into dignity. Meaning is not found by asking what you expect from life, but by asking what life expects from you. Frankl makes a crucial distinction. Happiness cannot be pursued directly. It emerges as a side effect of living meaningfully. Chasing happiness leads to emptiness. Accepting responsibility creates fulfillment. If meaning is discovered through responsibility, then how can suffering itself become meaningful? Chapter 5. Logotherapy explained, what if the secret to surviving life's worst horrors was not strength or intelligence, but purpose? Frankl developed logotherapy, a psychological approach centered entirely on finding meaning in life. Unlike traditional psychotherapy, which focuses on resolving neuroses or healing trauma, logotherapy asks a simple but profound question. What is the purpose of your life right now, even in the worst circumstances? Key principles. 1. Freedom of choice. Even when everything is taken, you can choose your attitude. 2. Responsibility. Life demands something of you. Your task is to respond. 3. Meaning through suffering. When suffering is unavoidable, it can be transformed into achievement, courage, or compassion. Logotherapy turns adversity into a challenge rather than a punishment. It shifts focus from asking why me to what can I do with this? Frankl also emphasizes that every moment holds potential meaning, even trivial tasks or fleeting experiences. Small acts of kindness, creative effort, or love can anchor life's purpose in the midst of chaos. If meaning can be discovered in the most horrific circumstances, then can it also create hope even when life seems tragically unfair? Chapter 6. Tragic optimism. Can you find hope in the face of suffering, guilt, and death? Frankl says yes, but not in the way most people expect. Tragic optimism is the ability to say, yes, life is difficult. Yes, suffering exists, and yet my life still has meaning. Frankl explains that suffering is inevitable. Pain cannot always be avoided, but our response is never predetermined. Through tragic optimism, humans can 1. Find meaning in suffering, transform unavoidable pain into a personal triumph. 2. Take responsibility for choices. Even small acts carry profound significance. 3. Maintain hope without illusions. Optimism is not denial. It is courage in the face of reality. He warns against existential frustration, the despair of those who cannot find purpose. Even in liberty, people can feel empty if they refuse to confront life's ultimate questions. Frankl's insight. The last human freedom is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This simple truth can protect the mind from despair and guide a life worth living. If tragic optimism can guide someone through the horrors of a concentration camp, then what does it mean for us living normal lives filled with stress, uncertainty, and loss? Have you ever felt like life is just one challenge after another, that suffering is guaranteed and death is certain? It's a heavy thought, but Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, offers a radical perspective. He says this is not the end of the story. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl introduces a powerful idea for our modern world: tragic optimism. It's a philosophy built on three pillars. First, suffering. He says we can transform unavoidable pain into a source of achievement, courage, and compassion. Second, guilt. Instead of letting mistakes weigh us down, we can take responsibility and turn them into valuable lessons. And finally, death. The awareness that our time is limited gives every single moment urgency and profound significance. Life will break you. It will push you to your limits and confront you with pain you didn't choose. Frankl journey teaches us a revolutionary lesson. Suffering is not meaningless if you can find a purpose within it. You don't need to endure a concentration camp to understand this. Every struggle, every failure, every loss we face asks us the same question. What will you do with this moment? How will you respond? Frankl's most life-changing insight is this. You always have the freedom to choose your attitude. Meaning isn't something that's given to you. It's something you discover. It doesn't come from wealth, pleasure, or comfort. It comes from what you give to life, even when life seems terrifyingly unfair. He reminds us that even the most ordinary lives hold extraordinary potential for meaning. So what's the ultimate takeaway? Happiness is not the goal. Meaning is, when you live with a clear purpose, joy becomes a natural byproduct, not something you have to chase. This book is more than just a story of survival. It's a blueprint for resilience, hope, and personal transformation. It teaches us that even in our darkest moments of despair, we can find a reason to wake up and move forward. Life may take everything from you, but it can never take away your choice to find meaning. So I'll leave you with Frankl's question, which now becomes a personal one. What is your meaning, and are you ready to find it? Let me know in the comments what gives your life meaning. Thanks for watching, and if this inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more summaries that challenge and transform your thinking.